Hello, welcome back to our Element Yoga series. Today's practice is all about space. So space is pervasive. This is going to be a really well-rounded, fun practice, and it'll give us some time to conscientiously think about each part of our body. So I hope you enjoy it. Go outside if you can, grab your mat, grab a blanket, and join me whenever you're ready. We are at Ute Valley Park because I thought the rocks made it look kind of space-like and otherworldly, but check out Pikes Peak in the back. Ain't he handsome? Hello everybody, welcome to our space class. So today we're going to get started in actually Shavasana. Bring your feet as wide as you can, even on the outside of the mat, and then create a T-shape with your arms out to the side. So we're just trying to take up as much space as possible. We're gonna bring awareness to our body as a container for our bones and muscle and skin and organs, as a container and a space that allows us to create movements, to create motion. And throughout today's class, we're also going to be paying special attention to some outer areas of our body that we normally neglect or normally don't like to open because they're a little tougher. So we might emphasize some of that. So stretch really long, fingertips and toes as long as you can for a breath, and then sit on up. Come onto hands and knees, and then lower into a child's pose. But bring your arms super wide. Again, just taking up as much of the mat as you can. Couple deep breaths here, just to center and ground and prepare for today's practice. I have my little buddy walking around this whole class, so I hope it doesn't bother you. I think he's cute. Okay, from your wide child's pose, raise up into a thunderbolt kneeling position, and then we're going to take some big side stretches. So raise your hips up, sweep your right arm over to the left, sink them down, sweep them up as your left fingertips reach over. So create a fluid motion and just create as much space as you can through your side body here. Inhale, raise the hips, left fingertips over to the right and sink back down. Inhale, raise it up, fingertips over to the right. Exhale, drop it down. Inhale, expand. Exhale, release. Couple more of these. Now plant your palms and then rotate your body to face the long edge of the mat. We're coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Bring your feet as wide as you're comfortable with. You can turn your toes in a little bit, heels out. And then grab onto the outer ankles. Use your hands to traction and pull you down. Try to get your bun or the top of your head as close to the mat as possible. And just send breath into the backs of your legs, the outside of your thighs. Inhale, rise your spine up to parallel. Exhale, sink it back down. Inhale, lift it up, and hands come wide out to the sides too, like airplane arms. Exhale, release. Inhale, halfway lift with the spine, long line of energy between fingertips. Exhale, drop it low. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold deep. Good. We'll come into some twists. So place your left hand on the mat. Inhale, sweep your right fingertips open. Exhale, plant your right hand and sweep your left fingertips high. Come back to center. Peel that right shoulder open, torso to the right. Back to center. Inhale, peel the left shoulder open, torso to the left. Exhale, center fold. Keep going with your breath. We're doing 5 on each side. Remember, this class is about creating space. So think about your feet coming wide on the outer corners of the mat, and then your hands reaching either down into the earth or up into the sky as high as possible. Turn to face the top of your mat and step back to downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths here just to warm up. So on an inhale, we'll raise up onto our toes. Exhale, sink the heels down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, feel more of a stretch through your hamstrings and calves. One more. Inhale on your toes, exhale on your heels. Now we're going to take some big circles. So move your hips to the left, forward, to the right, and back. So we're shifting from a down dog to a plank pose and just creating a huge circular motion towards your left. So we'll do 5 rounds this way. Try to get your hips to reach even outside of the edge of your mat. And then after 5, take a quick breath in down dog and we'll switch directions. So move your hips to the right, forward, left, and back. Really warming up through the shoulders and the hips here. From your down dog, forward through your plank, and back to down dog again. Couple more. Good, drop onto your knees, untuck your toes, send your fingertips long in front of you and drop your chest for puppy pose. Hips are stacked on top of knees. Think about wrapping your outer armpits down. We're eventually going to move into wheel pose, so let's start stretching our shoulders now, our lats now. So it's an active puppy pose. Press your palms into the mat. Rise back up to your downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your left leg high. Flip your dog over and come into wild thing. Good, plant that hand, fish that foot under and move into fallen triangle, reaching your right fingertips high. Good, strong through your right foot, pick up your left foot, flip your dog over for wild thing again. Left arm sweeps overhead, pelvis to the sky. Exhale, plant your left hand. Come through for fallen triangle again, plant your right heel, reach up high with the right hand. Now we're moving into fallen triangle walks. So you're gonna slowly switch your legs, come into a fallen triangle shape on each side for 3 or 4 reps until you come closer to the top of your mat. Bend deeply into your right knee now, and then swing that straight left leg over to the left, back behind you to the right, up and over to the left, back behind you to the right, taking up as big of an arc as you can. One more. Your right leg is strong and mostly bent throughout all this. Send it back behind you to the right, plant through your hands, and then pick your right leg up, send it back, drop the heel for fallen triangle again. Good. Plant both palms, step back to downward facing dog. And then we'll move through those big circles, just one over to the left, and then one over to the right, ending up in downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your right leg high, flip your dog over, plant those toes for wild thing, and then right hand lands, swing your right foot under, drop the left heel for fallen triangle. Come into your wild thing again. Really reach the heart high. And then exhale, come to fallen triangle. And then we'll move through those walks. So now your left leg will pick up, send it underneath the right, straight leg. Send your right leg underneath. These are really good for your outer IT band. It's a significant stretch. So really squat into that left knee now, and then pick your right leg straight up and over to the right, like you're creating a rainbow shape with your toes. Left, right, you're doing little lunges through your left leg. We'll do one more. Have it end up on the left side of the mat. Plant through your hands. And then you're going to step your left leg back and come into fallen triangle. Root through both hands, send your hips back to downward facing dog, and work through your big body circle. One towards the right, and one towards the left. Good. Drop onto your knees, untuck your toes, and take a puppy pose again. Make it active. Think about stretching your lats. So this practice already is reaching into some outer areas of our body that we might typically neglect. They might be pretty tight, but we're trying to fulfill or fill our whole container here and make this a really well-rounded practice. We'll move through that sequence again with just one addition. So come to downward facing dog, inhale, sweep your left leg high, and flip your dog over for wild thing. Pick it up, send it underneath your hips, straight out to the right for fallen triangle. Same thing, flip your dog, end up in wild thing, push your hips high, lift your chest, and then move into those fallen triangle walks. Taking your time, taking 3 or 4 steps, breathing into the outer hips, the IT band. So we'll end up with our right knee in a little lunge. Stick your hips back and then lift your left toes up and over to the left, back behind you to the right. Up and over to the left, back behind you to the right. One more. And really squat into your right knee and your right hip. From here, stand strong into your right foot, open your pelvis out to the left, extend your left heel long, your right fingertips up to the sky for half moon. So really root through all 4 corners of your right foot. It's a bit windy here and I'm on an unbalanced rock, so try to keep your balance a little better than I am. Good. Curl your left knee in, grab your left foot with your left hand, and then open again for Sugarcane Pose. Really expand through the front of your abdomen, through the front of your left hip and thigh. And push the boundaries of where your space can be. So push into this pose a little further than usual. Bend that left knee back to the outside of the right mat. Pick up the right leg, reach up for triangle pose. Plant both hands and step back to downward facing dog. We'll do those big hip circles to the left, forward, right, and back. And then to the right, forward, left, and back. Inhale, sweep your right leg up, and then bend it over, flip your dog, come into wild thing. Fish that right leg under, plant the blade edge of that foot, reach those left fingertips up for triangle. And then again, root through the ball of your left foot, come for wild thing, expand your chest, and then flip it under again for triangle pose. Now take those 3 to 4 walks up to the top of your mat, creating as wide of steps as possible. And we'll end up so that our left knee is bent and our left hip is sticking back. Rainbow those right toes to the right, back to the left, to the right as you bend into your lunge. Come into your dragon lunge here. One more time. And then from here, straighten out your left knee, open your pelvis to the right, expand for Halfmoon Pose. So long line of energy from your right heel, through that leg, through your torso, all the way through the crown of your head. And same from your left fingertips all the way to your right. Bend your right knee in, capture that foot or ankle, and push hand into foot and open up for Sugarcane Pose. Again, challenge yourself. Challenge your boundaries of what you think is possible here. If it's your first time trying it, then go for it. If you fall, just get back up. So we'll do the planting of the right foot to the left. Pick up your left foot, send it back, and reach up for triangle pose. Plant both hands, step back to downward facing dog. Circle the whole body forward to the right, backwards to the left, and then switch directions. Good. From your downward facing dog, plant both knees, untuck your toes, and reach those fingertips long in front of you and wide for puppy. To really melt your chest down to the mat here. Remember, this practice is all about space and ether, so we're becoming aware of where our body is in space, how much space it takes up, how we can challenge that or rest into that. So just be aware of how your body feels in each of these poses. From puppy, come forward to plank, and then reach your left foot forward on the outside of your left palm for lizard pose with right knee lifted. Then we're going to create zigzag shapes. So zigzag your hips backwards towards the back of the mat. As you bend that right knee down, straighten your left leg for half splits. And then zigzag those hips left and right, come forward as you bend back into your left knee and straighten that right one again. Step back so you're in this extended tabletop, and then zigzag those hips from the front of the mat to the back, kind of towards an active child's pose. And then right, left, shift them forward as you go into this really extended tabletop. Push through both palms, lift up to plank. Come into lizard on the right leg with left knee straight and lifted. And then you're gonna zigzag those hips left and right towards the back of your mat. Eventually lower onto your left knee and straighten into your right knee for half splits. Stay here briefly and then start to shift those hips forward as you go left and right and come back into your lizard. From here, sweep that right foot back. You're in your extended tabletop, and then just poke the hips out again, left and right. Come to your active child's pose. Bring everything forward again. So you're trying to make contact with every outer edge of your mat here. Push up into plank. Come into lizard again with your left foot on the outside of your left palm. Drop the right knee down, and then we'll do more of a long hold of this stretch, so you can lower your elbows to the mat if that's comfortable. Sending breath into your left inner groin, your inner thigh, your low back. Trying to get that top of your right thigh closer to the mat. And remember, we're going to move into wheel pose, so the more we can stretch into those front hip flexors, especially on the right here, the better. So tuck your right toes, raise up onto your palms, and just rock back and forth in your lizard a couple times. Then step back to plank pose, and we'll switch sides. Lizard on the right leg forward, drop onto your left knee, and then settle in. Drop your body as far down as you're comfortable with. And if it suits you to stay propped up on your palms, if you're able to feel a better stretch either in your thigh, your right thigh, or the front of your left hip flexor, then please take that. Again, we're becoming conscious about our body, so do what feels right for you. Rise up onto your palms and then just rock back and forth on the ball of your left foot a couple times. And step back to plank pose, lower your knees, drop down for one final puppy pose. This time, turn your palms to face the sky. So we're externally rotating our shoulders. I want you to press your palms into the ground, or the backs of your hands into the ground. So it's a really active stretch through your shoulders and lats. Good. Come to tabletop, sit onto your bottom, and roll down onto your back. So we'll move into bridge pose first. So plant the soles of both feet on the mat. Make sure you have your dog lick your face a little bit, a lot of it. And then you're gonna pick up your tailbone, your low back, mid back, upper back, and interlace your fingers underneath your bottom for bridge pose. Firm through your hamstrings and glutes. Lift your chest high to the sky. Good. Lower mid back, lower back, and your sacrum. And then just windshield wiper your knees side to side. Just a little feel good through your low back. So we're gonna move into wheel pose. So if your puppy is a little bit in the way, move him over. Now, if you're just comfortable with bridge, please take that pose again. Otherwise, rise your hips up and then face your fingertips by your ears, but pointing down to your feet. Roll onto your head and then push up into wheel pose. So again, inner thighs are firming in towards each other. You're thinking about shooting your chest through your shoulders. Relax the glutes a little bit to avoid a pinch in the low back. And then lower down onto your head, roll down your spine, and windshield wiper those knees side to side. We'll come into one more of your bridge or wheel variation. Lift those hips up, elbows point to the sky, push through palms and feet. You can walk your feet in closer if you feel comfortable. Try to straighten through your knees a little bit. You should feel open through the shoulders and through the hips. We worked on that earlier, so hopefully this is more comfortable than usual for wheel. And then roll onto the top of your head, down your spine. Take one final sway side to side. We're gonna calm down now, do some cool down poses. Come into a really wide happy baby. So point the soles of your feet towards the sky, knees on the outsides of your ribs, and use your hands on the bottom of your feet to pull outward. Really nice stretch through your inner thighs and your hamstrings. Try to flatten your lower back onto the mat instead of lifting your tailbone up. Just take up the entirety of your mat here, really wide. Good, release your feet down to the mat, straighten your right leg, hug your right knee in towards your body. And then you can come into a simple spinal twist by taking the left knee over to the right side, or hang onto your toes with your big toe with your peace fingers. Take a straight leg stretch variation. Gaze goes out towards the left fingertips. Send calm breath into the left outer thigh. I know this is a big stretch. Let the heart rate start to slow. We're done with our physical asana practice. So it's time to move into just a little more awareness now. We'll switch sides. Send your left leg out long. Hug your right knee in. Come into your version of your twist with either bent knee or straight leg. Gaze goes out to the right fingertips. So now that we've worked through some breath work and some physical postures, we can be more present and aware of what we're holding in, what we're holding on to, and just come to let it go. One more breath. Then bend both your knees in, give them a big hug, and then send them out long for Shavasana. We'll do a really wide star-shaped Shavasana again. So heels are on the outer edges of the mat. Hands and arms are out wide in a T shape. So creating space today and learning about our boundaries, learning about our bodies, and pushing that a little bit. It takes hard work and discipline, but it leads to more freedom and more movement and more opportunity. So let that awareness kind of sink into your emotions as well and your relationships. The more mindful we are about where we exist in space and where we exist with others, the more we can improve and benefit those relationships. Start to wiggle into your body, roll onto your right side. Take an extra breath here in your fetal position, and then push up. Come up to a seated pose at the top of your mat. Hands on your knees. One big final inhale together. Lift your chest. And then one big exhale. Release. Thank you guys so much for joining me during this practice and our whole element series. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.